No. Yeah. What other number twos? Anyone have? What? Parents dying. So again, loss. Birth of a child. Again, some people have a graduation or a milestone or accomplishment. And a teenager who, they're here now, their number two is when they kill themselves. It's sort of telling you sort of a lot. If you're working with somebody who's at the height of their field, and they're young, maybe they're in a dance profession or sports or some music, and they've already had big accomplishments, and they're anticipating that their biggest accomplishment is past them or coming right up, well, what's going to happen the rest of that life then? Right? So it's going to be a vulnerable period. Is it going to be all downhill from there? Now we could do a star or a different symbol for the onset of trauma. Do another symbol for the worst point in their trauma history. A symbol to the left of the line for the start of their recovery. A symbol to the right of the line for when they believe they'll be recovered from trauma. We do the same thing if it's substance abuse, or or both. I've had some clients who believe they're going to recover, and it's always like a millimeter from now, and they're setting themselves up. And then with unrealistic expectations for being better, whatever that means to them, and healthy, and then when it doesn't happen, it justifies, in a sense, the relapse back to substance abuse, back to risk-taking behavior of some kind, back to unhealthy relationships. With some clients who have a hard time talking about their experience, there's something about these kinds of inroads that enable them to go somewhere that they couldn't go if the conversation just started in a traditional way. Sometimes the information surprises them or us. It's something that we didn't put together before. Annie Rogers, who wrote the book A Shining Affliction, has another methodology in her second book, and I'm blanking on the name, called River Maps. And in her River Maps, she uses them a lot with young women, but it doesn't have to be young women. But what she found in her experience working with young women who were teenagers, young adults who weren't ready to really do their trauma work, so hard to talk about, and yet there was such need to engage it. She'd just have them start drawing, and she'd use like a scroll of paper. You could use industrial paper towel that just scrolls out. And in session, periodically, they would start somewhere along the course of that river, and the river represents their life. They could start at the beginning, the middle, right now, where they want the river to go, using imagery to represent adversity experiences. Maybe they were stuck at certain points. That's a dam in the river. Maybe there was a dark time in their lives where they were victimized. Maybe that's a lightning storm. Maybe there were unexpected helpers or role models. That could be sort of deer or other animal that show up on the side of the riverbanks. Maybe there was a quiet period and there was like a little estuary, a little side pond that formed where they could sort of rest. And using that imagery as a way into the work. Some of us at the Trauma Center, and mostly myself as far as the authors of the CBP book goes, but some of us at the Trauma Center use a lot of experiential activities in our work. Some of this in group format, some with youth, some with adults, some can be done individually. So there is some examples. The trauma wheel is something that I've used with adults and youth, and that's a spinning wheel that you get from Michaels for like $20. It's like one of those little paint, you drop the paint onto the spinning wheel.